Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we're discussing about how you can save on Bitcoin's transaction fees. Sometimes they can get quite high and currently Bitcoin is about 45,500. We've made a video on Kubera, so for all those who are coming over, thanks for subscribing to the new channel. We're almost at 600. We made a video on there about Bitcoin and how statistically speaking, looking at the past history, maybe history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, and most likely March is going to be a little bit rough, so we have to be prepared for that. We have to believe in Bitcoin if you're a believer, and if so, you're buying the dip, and if not, you're just watching from the sidelines, and that's all right. But one positive is that as Bitcoin falls in price, the transaction fees kind of settle down a little bit. Obviously, it's not going to get super cheap, but Bitcoin fees were getting as high as $50, $60, $70, and with exchange withdrawal fees, they not only look at Bitcoin and the network's transaction fees, so miners get paid and everything's working well, but they also want to take a little bit more. So they put a little extra on top, and depends on which exchange you have, but some really like to eat a lot. So some exchanges were as high as $90 to withdraw Bitcoin. So obviously if you had $91, it cost you $90 to withdraw one. That's not a good ratio. The average Bitcoin transaction fee is $23. And if you're purchasing right now, if you're investing and buying the dip, so to speak, in March, hopefully Bitcoin gets to $100,000. The Bitcoin fees in the future might get over $100, but there are solutions and they already exist today. So we're going to go through 4 methods today. The first is quite simple, and we're going to make a video about this. If you have a wallet, for example, I use Exodus. If you go into advanced settings, you're able to adjust your own Bitcoin fees, and you're able to adjust fees for other, for example, with gas for Ethereum and other altcoins. However, if you adjust it too low, it's going to warn you that it may not go through. What's that mean? Are you going to lose your Bitcoin? No, you're going to lose the amount that you are sending to those miners. So that may be a few dollars if you go really cheap. And the Bitcoin that was supposed to be sent out, it'll remain in your wallet. So nothing's going to happen to it. You're going to be fine, but you're going to have to pay again for transaction fees, and you're going to have to go higher. If it's too low, it's simply not profitable for the miners to go through with it because their top priority is higher paid transactions. So usually the exchanges are recommending really high transaction fees, but they're not the highest. There's always some people who are willing to pay a little bit more, and usually that's if they wanted to confirm very quickly, because Bitcoin, it's notorious in the cryptocurrency world for being a little bit slow. Sometimes it confirms within less than half an hour. I've had it confirm sometimes within a few minutes. I was super lucky if the network's not really congested. But if there's a large transaction that's millions of dollars, they don't really care if they're paying an extra $20, $30, $50. They're willing to pay that, just as we've seen in DeFi with gas fees. The millionaires are able to blow through thousands on gas fees, and it's irrelevant to them because they're making 10x or $100,000 transactions every single day. But the right spot, if you have a wallet that you're able to adjust your fees, is in the middle. Instead of being in the 75th, 80th percentile, which is rather high, you're able to look up what transaction fees currently. There's plenty of websites, whether it's for Bitcoin, whether it's gas fees, Gwei, or whatever cryptocurrency you're using that allows for custom fees. There's some cryptocurrencies that if you want to move a lot of money, such as Litecoin and Ripple, and there's plenty of other smaller altcoins, they're going to cost you very little, pennies on a dollar compared to Ethereum or Bitcoin. It's one of the easiest alternatives if you're able to exchange money rather quickly, if you're already on an exchange. Of course, withdrawal fees will always bite you because most exchanges set them to a point that they're able to make profits, hefty profits at that. But if you want to remain in Bitcoin or Ethereum, don't go too low, don't go too high. If you do go too low, I will make a video with Bitcoin how you can, for free, increase your chances of that transaction going through and in a faster amount of time. So I'll release that later in the week. It's super simple. There's just a website that you go to, you plug in your transaction. They can do up to 100 transactions per hour. So there's a fair amount of people. Usually it's overbooked, but if the network congestion goes down, so do fees, and so do the amount of people and the amount of transactions. So you're going to have an easier time, and you're still able to save yourself usually a few dollars. With Bitcoin transaction fees, if the average is 23, and you want to pay $12, you're probably going to be fine with that if you use this website. It might be a little too low. But if you're paying 14, 15, 16, and the average transaction is 23, you're probably going to be fine. It's just going to take longer to confirm. And sometimes these transactions take hours and hours. But if the recipient doesn't care about that, it is an easy way to save money. So the second option is quite simple as well. Just wait it out. Based on congestion, you're able to look up certain days of the week, usually on the weekends for America. If you're in Europe, you're in a luckier position, or if you're a night bird, at points in time where most people are asleep, you're able to get better transaction fees. Most businesses are closed, there's less transactions made on the weekend, so there's a little bit more space to clear. If it's a smaller transaction and the recipient doesn't care, like I said with the first option, if you just wait out, you're going to get better fees. If you're worried with the first option that your transaction won't go through, I'm going to have a website link down below that'll give you a feel about how current Bitcoin transaction fees are going. And in addition, at what fee, the price of Bitcoin, the network and the miners will ignore your transaction. So you want to go above that. You're going to feel a little bit better. So the third option is Lightning Network to the rescue. And this already exists. This is what we've been talking about in the past. As more users swarm to Bitcoin, as Bitcoin will reach 60,000 and inevitably 100,000, maybe even $1 million in the future, while the average on-chain Bitcoin transaction fee costs $23, $25 right now, the average fee for Lightning is a fraction of a cent, which is absolutely crazy. And with Lightning Network, you can have up to 1 million transactions, which beats out PayPal, Visa, everybody else. It's the best long-term solution, but the problem is not every wallet, not every exchange, it's going to take a while before it really starts to take over everything. With Lightning, the user does need to pay a fee when initially setting up the channel, but after that, they're able to send as many transactions as they want for a low fee. Users need to go through a traffic jam when there's a lot of congestion, but with Lightning Network, they're able to avoid that traffic. They're using a completely alternative lane. But the problem is not all wallets support Lightning Network. Not all exchanges support it. In fact, the most popular ones, such as Coinbase and Blockchain.com, don't. A Lightning-specific wallet such as Phoenix, Breeze, and Blue Wallet do. At least for now, there's a few caveats. Lightning Network is still new, so it's going to take a while, but in the future, I definitely expect more wallets and more exchanges to make use of this. And it's still experimental, so there's still going to be some updates, and over time, it's going to get better. There does exist a small possibility of users losing funds with it, just as in DeFi, you're able to lose funds. So it is experimental. Sure, you're going to save on fees, but you have to know what you're doing, and you always have to double check. Over time, it will get better. I do believe that there's going to be a point in time when there's no option. People are going to lose their funds unless they send specifically on purpose to a wrong address. And the final solution is use wallets with scaling technology. Sedgwick transactions. If you remember 2017, a lot of people were like, woo, Sedgwick finally, it's here. Fees can be charged 30% cheaper. That's why people were super excited. Sedgwick transactions 30% cheaper than legacy transactions. Legacy is just what's the classic Bitcoin, right? In other words, if a legacy transaction costs $15, Sedgwick costs as little as $10.50. Though Sedgwick has been around for quite a bit, almost 4 years now, not all wallets and exchanges, this is the same thing as Lightning Network, not all wallets and exchanges support it. They didn't adopt this type of transaction yet. On top of Sedgwick BECH32 addresses, they add even more improvements and it decreases fees a little bit more. So you can get, with that $15 example transaction, you could get well below $10. Some services have adopted Sedgwick, but they haven't adopted BECH32. And that's the format that's specifically made for Sedgwick transactions. Sedgwick BECH32, you can get a little confused with all of this. If you want to get cheaper exchanges, cheaper transactions, I'm going to have a few websites down below as well. One of them is called bitcoinops.org, and you're able to compare which addresses are going to support BECH32 and Sedgwick and which aren't. Let me show you. As we see with checks or X marks, we see BitMEX, Binance, Coinbase, a lot of exchanges and wallets. This is bitcoinops.org. And the second website is When Sedgwick, an open letter to those who love Bitcoin. And at the bottom, who supports BECH32. So pretty cool. Wasabi, there we go. So that is today's video, how to save a little bit with Bitcoin transaction fees. The reason I spent more time with customizing your transaction through Exodus or through wallets that support it is because it's usually the simplest. So I'm not going to recommend using Sedgwick or BECH32 or Lightning Network for users who are just new to Bitcoin, because it might get a little too confusing for you. But for those who do want to use it, we are going to show you how to use it in the future, and that's today's video. So see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button. Have a great one. Bye.